Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you guys for tapping in and joining me tonight for the premiere episode of Desk of Dasia. If you guys are out there and y'all don't know who I am Asia, better known as Big Sis Asia, who is part of Kitty Pink Radio. I am a co-host on Locked and Loaded, which airs every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and Coffee with Kitty that airs every Friday at 7 no, every Friday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. I really appreciate you guys for joining me tonight. I had a lot of questions that came in, and I wanted to address one of the questions that came in about betrayal. I felt like this needs to be a segment of its own. I had someone to write in to me and ask whether or not they need to beat their friend ass for betraying them. So we're going to tap into that. Someone tapped in and wrote, "Why these bitches play with me? Should I beat my friends up for betraying me? Tell us how you got over a friendship betrayal." So, to give you guys an idea of how the Desk of Dasia works, people send me messages either through Messenger or they send it to the email, which is deskofdasia@gmail.com. And I address those questions anonymously. I post them on the page. So if you're not following the page right now, make sure you go and like and follow Desk of Asia, as well as the YouTube channel. And make sure that you're following us on Locked and Loaded and Coffee with Kitty and Kitty Pink Radio. So one of the viewers sent a message and said, "Why these bitches play with me? Should I beat my friends up for betraying me? Tell us how you got over a friendship betrayal." This is deep, and this really cuts deep because I know that a lot of us have dealt with betrayal. I don't think there's anybody who's walking the earth right now that hasn't dealt with a level of betrayal, and I've dealt with it in the worst type of way. Um, I don't know if the person who sent this question in is watching right now, but I'm gonna tell you the way I dealt with a friend actually betraying me. I'm not going to go into complete detail about this situation because I want to protect the privacy of this friend because we have rekindled our relationship. So I don't want to sever that in any type of way. But I will say the way that I was able to get over a friend betraying me was being honest with myself. Let's see. Rich Ross said, question, how does one act like he don't know his friends when he in New Orleans asking for a friend? Send it to thisoftheasia@gmail.com and we'll address that on the next segment. Because if you act like you don't know your friends gonna act like they don't know you as well. That's a very good question. But I had a situation and I'm gonna try to be as discreet as possible. But I had a situation back in the day when I was wilding out my younger years and I was running the streets and all this old type of stuff. And I had a friend that I pretty much trusted with my life. And a man ended up being involved in one of our situations. And some of the secrets that I had that I was dealing with in my life that was none of his business ended up being disclosed to him. And it came back to me. I've also had situations where someone that I've known for years, almost just as long as I've been knowing myself, to be honest, put a dagger in my back. And the way that I was able to deal with those two different instances was being able to have an introspective view of my own self and to see why I even allowed those people to be so ingrained and so close to me where I was able to let my guard completely down and tell them so much information about me. And the way that I was able to get over those two different situations is I learned how to compartmentalize. If there's anybody that's out there that's my friend that knows me, that come and vent to me and try to tell me anything, the first thing I'm gonna tell you to try to help you with the situation is compartmentalize. One thing that I have learned about people is people are going to be people, and people always are going to, they're always going to let you down eventually, and there's no way to actually get around that. I have learned that some people that are good for one thing, they're not good for all things. And with me realizing that, I was able to rekindle certain relationships that I felt like were something worth salvaging. You have to keep in mind that every relationship that you have that reaches its demise is not something that you need to necessarily hash out or savage. You have to know the difference. There are some relationships that's worth putting in their work and maybe possibly forgiving a person. And there's other situations where you need to let bygones be bygones, and it depends on the level. There's levels to certain things. You have to understand that sometimes when you're dealing with people, you get to learn on what level you're able to deal with them and the things that you're able to trust them with. So it depends on if you have already evaluated this person level. And if you've evaluated their level, then you're responsible for being able to meet them at the level and not burden them with the responsibility of upholding certain things that they are not capable of upholding. So you have to be mindful of that, because everybody is not able to do some of the things that you expect of them. Donna Howard said, "Good evening, good evening, Deasia. Good evening." Um, Caroline said, "That's the truth. That is the truth." So you have to know your people. You have to know what you're dealing with. You have some people that, if you know this person is a gossiper, even if that's your friend, and you know this person is a gossiper, if you feel like you're immune to being gossip about, you a damn fool. If you have somebody in your life that is the type of person that is going to bring you a bone, if somebody will bring a bone, they will carry a bone. So even though you see some qualities in this person that goes beyond the negativity as far as them being a gossiper or anything like that, if you decide to associate yourself with that person and have that person in your life, then you need to be mindful of the fact that this person is capable. You need to know that this person is capable of carrying a bone. So if you were to tell them something in confidence and they turn around and carry that bone to someone else, then that's on you, because you told them. You got to pretty much charge it to the game. But what ends up happening is we build narratives for people. We start putting people in certain boxes. We see a person a certain type of way. We don't actually look at their true colors a whole lot of times. We fantasize people, whether it be somebody we're in a relationship with, whether it be a friend, whether it be a family member, regardless of what, we fantasize people. We have these expectations of people that they haven't even proven that they're able to live up to. A whole lot of times in our relationships with people, regardless of the level of the relationship, whether it's platonic, it's family, or it's romantic, regardless of what, we actually fantasize and we try to go off based on their potential and what we actually think of them and not who they really are. So a lot of times when we be betrayed by people, it's because we let our guards down too much. And that's the reason why it's important for people to create healthy boundaries. It's important for you to leave something for yourself. I know sometimes people want to be able to spill all of their beans and have somebody to confide in and tell them everything and stuff like that. You have to keep something for yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have skeletons in the closet or whatever the case may be, but you have to be able to keep something for yourself. Man, name fuck you, fuck y'all talking about. Fuck y'all talking about. No, to me out. So y'all talking about said they hardly ever live up to it. And that's true. People hardly ever live up to the expectations that you have set for them. They ain't necessarily agreed to that or signed up for it or anything else, but you have these expectations of them to be everything that you wanted them to be because you want somebody to rely on. And you have to keep in mind that going back to the question that was asked, this particular person said that a friend betrayed them. So if a friend betrayed them and you're ready to beat your friends up for it, then you entrusted your friends with something that you felt like they would never do. I'm gonna tell you, the worst thing that you can ever do is to believe that somebody would never do something. Don't you ever walk around feeling like, oh, this person will never do this person will never do that, and they'll be the one that'll do it to you. Don't ever walk around feeling like, oh, this person won't do this person won't do that. They will. They're human. They're capable of it. I pride myself on being an honest person. But it's probably be people who can tell you something and you probably be like, no, that's not Deasia. Because my relationship with them is something that's totally different than my relationship with you. And you would think that you have a certain bond with a person and you uphold them to a certain standard. And it's okay if you do. But if you uphold these people to a certain standard, you still don't want to be in this state of euphoria where you feel like you're living in a world of bubbles and butterflies till this person can't possibly do anything wrong. And I'm not saying don't trust anybody. You definitely don't want to live in a place where you feel like you can't trust anybody and you don't have anybody where you can talk to and lay your burdens. Also have to be mindful of the fact that these people are human and it's a possibility that they can let you down. So you definitely have to compartmentalize and pick and choose the information that you disclose and how much of yourself that you're willing to put in somebody else's hand to where they can turn around and possibly betray you. Now, when I had a situation where a friend betrayed me, and I'm trying my best to explain it without going too deep, but when I had a situation with a friend betraying me, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Even though I was hurt, even though I was let down, I honestly still missed my friendship. I wanted my friend. I still wanted to be this person's friend. And it might sound foolish that I wanted to be this person's friend, but it was like in my mind, I rationalized it like, okay, guess what? I can be this person's friend. Now, since I know that this person does this and this is how they are, I know that, okay, I can't trust you with this, but that doesn't mean that I can't trust you with anything else. And that doesn't mean that I will put myself in a situation to trust you with sensitive information. I wouldn't do that anymore. But it's certain different elements of the relationship or friendship, so to speak, that I absolutely loved and I missed during that time when we weren't talking. And I wanted that back. And it might sound like experiencing like Stockholm syndrome or something, going back to the same place and this person hurt you and you going back there or whatever. But like I said, you have to evaluate the severity of the situation and how important it is to you. And it's the betrayal something that you will be able to modify throughout your dealings with this person to where you won't see that fate anymore. So you have to, I feel like a lot of times what we start doing is just cutting people off. As soon as the first time they do something, we start cutting people off. And that's not conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is not just straight cutting people off. Because sometimes you have to grow and you have to learn certain things. You have to figure out how did I even get hurt in this situation and what can I do differently? Because just because something happened to you doesn't mean that you still shouldn't be growing. See, a lot of people try to play victim, but they are not willing to grow within their victimhood. If you have fallen victim to anything, it is something for you to learn a lesson from, where you to be able to maneuver through this life differently, and you to be able to handle people and deal with people a whole lot differently. And a whole lot of people are not willing to do that. I was willing to do that because I was okay with myself. I was okay with looking in the mirror and saying, hey, honestly, I want to be this person's friend. How can I make this work? And even though it was something that happened to me, I was still willing to actually see what I can do to salvage the part of the relationship that meant something to me that I didn't have to include this part in. And I did that. Let me go to the question, or the comments rather, because only one person asked a question that have nothing to do with nothing. Ain't got shit to do with shit. Caroline said, still trust no one with things you don't want others to know. That's absolutely true. You definitely shouldn't trust anybody with things that you don't want something else to know. See, me, I'm on the solo tip. What they say, no face, no case. It's, you have to learn how to be able to do things with yourself, keep things to yourself, and not expect for a person to be perfect and not be human. People are going to let you down regardless. And like I said, you have to evaluate the level of betrayal. Donna said, when you are betrayed, how many times do you forgive before you let go? What does it take to get to the deal breaker? That's a good question. That again fall back to the level of betrayal. What happened? How severe was it? Was it something that you had too high of an expectation of this person? Was it something that it was kind of like this miscommunication where, I'm going to tell you another thing too, what a lot of people don't understand and a lot of people don't like to deal with. A lot of people are not as invested in the relationship as you are. A lot of people don't feel like the relationship is as important as you do. And when it comes to friends, that is one of the things that is problematic when it comes to friendships, especially because we kind of treat friendships like it's a fly by night type of thing. Hey, how you doing? We don't invest a lot in it. We don't feel like we need to nurture our friendships the way we nurture our romantic relationships. So you might have these deep feelings for your friend, and you might see your friendship a certain type of way, and that person is not viewing the friendship the same way that you view the friendship. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Like, are we playing with the same deck? You have to keep that in mind as well and understand how important do that person think that you are. Because you might be way over your head thinking this person is so important to you, and you might not mean that much to them. No shade. That could just be what it is. But when we're dealing with romantic relationships and it's somebody that you're involved in, because your emotions are so heightened, then a lot of times you're more willing to do the work. You're more willing to go through, that healing process with that person or forgiving that person. And even with the romantic relationships, it's very possible for them to betray you as well. But with the question at hand dealing with friendship, it's a little bit different on how people actually view friendships in the first place. That definitely was a good question, Donna. But yeah, I'm gonna tell you something about betrayal. What a lot of people don't understand, that it completely molds you. It changes you. It changes not only who you are, but it changes your perspective of others. It can actually be something that paralyzes you. It's a crippling thing to deal with. It's so disheartening to walk this. walk this earth and deal with people that you feel like you can trust and you feel like got your back and you have this bond with these people, right? And years pass and you learn that everything that you thought this was and everything that you thought that you can trust this person with, these people were once your refuge. Though your refuge end up becoming your war zone. Those same people that were your refuge end up becoming a war zone for you. That's where you got to battle with and fight with. And it's so disheartening to deal with it. And it changes your whole outlook on people in the world around you. It all also make you question yourself. When you're dealing with betrayal, you start to, for lack of a better word, you feel stupid. That's just what it is. You start to feel stupid that you even let somebody get that close to you to the point that they were even close enough to you where you cared enough where they was able to stick that dagger in your back. So for me to answer the question, what did I do in a particular situation? I don't know the severity of this person's situations that sent in a question to me. So I'm not going to tell you to necessarily forgive. I will tell you to evaluate. How much information did you give this person? Because a lot of people don't understand that a lot of times, more often than not, we give people the blueprint on how to hurt us by talking about past situations, by telling somebody what happened in the past with somebody else and this person did this and this, and we do this for other people to be able to relate to us. But a lot of times you really showing them how much of a damn fool you can be, and you're showing them the blueprint in order to hurt you. So what you have to do is evaluate the situation, the severity of the situation. What was the situation that hurt you? Why did this person do that? Did you do anything first? Because a lot of people will say they've been betrayed and everything, and they done did some dirt themselves, and it's a lot of times be a reaction to what they did. So you can't tell somebody how mad to get. You probably feel like, oh, I just did a little bit of this right here, but this person went all the way and put my business all out, or something like that. You have to see what your role is in it. Did you do anything? And this was the person's response to what you did, which is it is disloyal, but you know, it has it came with reason. It was a reason behind it. It wasn't somebody just doing it to be vindictive just out of the blue. So you have to evaluate all of these things for you to determine whether or not this is someone that is worth salvaging the relationship. First, did you do anything? What's the severity of what happened? Is this something that was life changing? Did this disrupt your way of life in any type of way? Are you able to see whatever that is good from the person and deal with them on that level and not include them in whatever this other thing is that ended up hurting you when they betrayed you? So those are the things that you actually have to look at. When somebody did it to me, I felt like I should have gotten an apology. I never received an apology. I the only thing that I received was justification for what was done. And when I received the justification for what was done, I'm gonna tell you the truth. It actually made sense. It made a whole lot of sense because what we were doing, I never did try to make, I just figured because of the type of person that this person was that they wouldn't do this. What they did is something that I never even factor in, like, oh, this person will never do this. It wasn't even a thing. Don't y'all know how like sometimes it be stuff that's not even a thing, like you don't even think about this stuff, like that's something that never even crossed my mind. I had to deal with it when it came. So when it came, it's not something that crossed my mind. It actually wasn't anything that I thought this person never would do because it just never was a thought. So it never was a thought for me to even think that this person never would do it. So to be honest with you, because it was something that I never even thought about that this person would do, I was putting myself out there, my business and all this stuff out there, not even knowing if it's something that I can trust this person with. I wasn't even sure if I can trust this person with, but because I was able to trust this person with other things, I assumed that I can trust them with this, and you don't know until you know. Akila said, you might think someone is your best friend, but they like, oh, we best friends? Exactly. I've dealt with it several times where I have quite a few people that I consider to be my besties or whatever. And it's kind of like being in a relationship. Don't you know, in the beginning of relationships and everything, a lot of times people don't discuss what level they're on. They don't date properly and really discuss what level they're on. So it won't be until somebody actually say, "Oh, you my woman," until you like, "Oh shit, we together." But you never discussed that, and you know, and you just got through doing John or Timothy or whoever else the other night, and now your little situationship done told you y'all together, and you weren't even thinking y'all was rocking like that for real. But he feeling some type of way. He's thinking more into what y'all got going on than you do. Y'all just vibing like that. And that's what I was saying earlier. You have to keep in mind, everybody is not thinking about the relationship in the way that you are thinking about the relationship. So have you even had that conversation to know that just because you kicking it with somebody all the time, this your homeboy, your homegirl, or whatever, they might still just view you as an associate. They still might not even see you as a true friend. They just hang you just cool to hang out with or whatever, and they'll spill all your beans. So is it really their fault if you didn't have that conversation? Just because you hang out with them and you know you guys have mutual friends and everything, is it really their fault? So you have to be mindful of that. And that's the reason why I was able to establish the relationship with the person that I'm talking about. And we really were friends. And we still are friends, and we're going to remain friends. But the way that I was able to get through the betrayal of it all, the way that I was able to go through the betrayal of it all, is having an introspective look. And like, you know what? To be honest, we've never been in this type of situation before. We've never crossed this type of bridge. I just know that whatever that has happened before in the past, I've been able to trust this person with this. So I feel like I can trust them with that. You know, and that's not always the case. That's definitely not always the case. So you have to be able to evaluate your relationships with people and see where you stand to see where you need to go with them. Um, please don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. This is not to say every time you deal with betrayal that you should forgive, forget, or continue to deal with that person. Let me tell you something. You have to understand and know your own threshold for bullshit, okay? Don't let nobody fuck over you. Okay, don't do that. That's not what I'm saying. The question was, why these bitches play with me? Should I beat my friends up for betraying me? And tell us how you got over a friendship betrayal. So I'm speaking for the age. I'm telling you what I did in my particular situation in 1K. I had another instance of betrayal where I no longer deal with that person at all, and goddamn it, I will run over them if I see them. I would treat them just like a speed bump in an apartment complex full of crime. You know, in the projects, and you would be in an apartment complex full of crime, and they have the speed bumps about this high up off the ground, and you would tear your fucking front end up running over it. I will run over a bitch just like one of them speed bumps. That's how much I don't deal with that person. You know what I'm saying? But that particular person wasn't a friend. We gonna keep it level and deal with and talk about what we talking about and deal with what we dealing with. We're talking about friends. When I was in that situation and I dealt with somebody that was my friend and I considered them as a friend at a certain level, I did salvage their relationship because I realized that, you know what, we haven't experienced this before. We haven't even tested this before. We haven't even had a conversation about this before. See, when you're dealing with people, I'm going to tell you, when you're dealing with people, regardless of what level you're at with this person or what your relationship is with this person, it's all trial and error. You don't know till you know. One thing you don't know is what you don't know, and you don't know until you know. Y'all probably got to rewind it. You're not going to know until you know. So as you're growing and as you're experiencing different things in your life, you're going to be faced with different situations and different circumstances, maybe with different people and some of the same people. But as you grow and you're faced with those different situations, that's how you end up growing and learning and being able to know where to place people and being able to know where y'all levels lie. And you'll be able to meet each other at their level. Because water is always going to reach its level. You'll be able to meet each other at their level. So I would look at some of it as growing pains depending on the severity of it, especially when it comes to relationship. I'm going to tell you something. When it comes to being in relationships and things like that, keep your business to yourself. Let me tell you something about keeping your business to yourself. If you're in a romantic relationship with somebody, that don't mean hide. That don't mean that you don't have to see. A lot of people be creeping and they be sneaking and they be dipping and they be like, I'm keeping my business to myself by not letting people know that I got a man or a woman. I'm keeping my business to myself by not posting this person. No, you're being private and you probably be sneaking and you probably be cheating, and that's the reason why you're not posting that person. It's okay to post. I could post who the fuck I want to. You could post your daddy. I done posted a picture with my daddy and somebody thought it was my man. Just because you post a picture don't mean that you're telling your business. Just because somebody know that you're in a relationship with somebody doesn't mean that they know your business. When I say keep your business to yourself, I'm talking about that inner workings. I'm talking about them conversations that y'all having amongst each other, whether it's something casual or not. Because people will pull certain information from your relationship just from you having a casual conversation about your relationship. It might not even be nothing serious, but people will pull things from it and go spraying your business. If you have a homegirl or whatever and you're in a relationship with a man, you will have your homegirls feeling like they're a better woman than you because of certain things that you saying just be fun. You want to play and tell them, girl, he did this. Girl, he did that. I said this. I did that. You just want to be fun and you want to post little certain things about what this person is doing or whatever. People start building up impressions and they feel like they could have some type of say so. They start forming these different opinions. And so now you've given them a front seat in your business. Just because you want to keep somebody out your business don't mean that you got to be private. It just means that you don't need to be detailed. And half the time, it's a need to know situation. And only time somebody really needs to know something if they're really your friend. You don't want to walk around like you're miserable or anything. And you do want to share the good things or whatever the case may be. But I'm going to tell you something. Before you start getting to confide in somebody, go to counseling or anything like that. We are so attached to each other. We always feel like we need somebody. We need somebody for this. I need somebody to I need this person to talk to about everything. This is how we even end up in bullshit relationships. We want our mate to be everything. And we miss out on the best things from our mate because we want them to be everything. Everybody, ain't nobody gonna be all things to you. Everything that goes on in your life, your best friend don't need to know it to be your best friend. Everything that goes on in your life, even the person you lay down with every night, don't need to know it in order for them to be the person that you lay down with every night. Your husband and your wife don't have to know every single thing. You're still an individual at the end of the day, and you have a right to privacy. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with themselves so much to where they feel like they can't even make the simplest decision without telling somebody. You have people that they have to have somebody to tell their good news to, their bad news to. They need somebody to tell something to. And it's like, I feel like people get some type of sense of validation from being able to express those things to other people. And some things you just need to hold on to and you need to keep it to yourself. I actually enjoy my company so much. I yearn for my own company and my own space and my privacy. I long for my alone time because there's things about me that it's mine. I ain't giving it to nobody else. This is my space. This is my sacred space that I tap into, my little bubble that I create for myself that I don't want anybody else involved in. So you got to be okay with being okay with you. You got to be okay with holding some of that stuff in and not feeling like you have to tell somebody about every little thing that happens in your life. And the thing that is messing a lot of people up is social media, especially Facebook, where you're able to post on here what you're thinking and how you're feeling. Every little thing that crosses your mind, you feel like you need to tell the world wide web. And I feel like that make people have like this false sense of relevancy. And so you want to tell people everything, every little thing that's going on. And we all fall victim of that. And sometimes it's like you pretty much just talking to yourself. You just putting it out there just to have that interaction. We're human. We're not put on this earth to be alone or anything like that. We're here to be able to build bonds and relationships with people and to interact. But it's okay to keep some things to yourself. It's also okay to forgive people and move forward, establish relationships with people who have wronged you if you see the benefit in it. A lot of people try to make you feel stupid for continuing to deal with somebody that did something to you. But let me tell you something. You done did something to somebody. You've done things to people. You're not innocent. Everybody has done. I've hurt people and people have hurt me. And there's times when, I fucked up, you know what I'm saying? And I want somebody to forgive me. So evaluate it. Evaluate the severity of the situation and determine whether or not this person is worth, working through those growing pains. Because that's all it is. Because you didn't know that you couldn't trust that person with that until you got there. You assumed that you could trust them with that. And you know how assumptions is. And if a person used any information that's out there against you to betray you, then that's another thing that you have to deal with securing your information and making sure can't nobody spray you with your information, making sure can't nobody use anything against you, making sure if you do have dirt, you do it in the dark and you do it by yourself and it's contained where nobody can turn around and stab you in your back with it. And another thing, live in your truth. You can't spray me with my truth. I live in my truth. You can't blackmail me. I talk more shit than Muhammad Ali. You can't get on damn platform and say anything about the Asia. You don't know nothing that nobody else knows. Any dirt that I do dirt. I don't fuck over nobody. You know what I'm saying? But I do my shit. You ain't gonna know about it. And if you know about it, you ain't gonna be able to spray me with it because I do. If I do it, I'm gonna do it dirty. I'm gonna do it nasty. And I ain't gonna give a damn about what you think about it. I'm gonna say what it is and what it ain't. And you can't whoop me. You're not gonna be able to spray me with my truth. And you have to make sure that you have secured your business enough to where a person can't come back and stab you in your back. You got to make sure that you betrayal proof. And the way that you remain betrayal proof is keep your business to yourself and quit letting people so close to you. It's okay to let people close to you, but quit feeling like a human ain't going to be human. Even though I feel like I'm one of the most honest, trustworthy people in the world, I live by it, but I'm going to even tell, don't even trust me like that. Not because I do anything to you. I want people to trust me. I want people to trust me. But I'm just saying, and I haven't done anything to anybody for them not to trust me. But you still, for yourself, have to have some sense. You have to have some type of boundary where you're not trusting somebody with every single thing. I would never do that again. And I trust people. I wouldn't even tell my mama all my damn business no more. Not because she did anything, it was because the friend did something. And so I'm like, I'm scratching my head. Humans are human. Even though this human spit me out, you still a human at the end of the day. Some shit could happen. Mo put you back up against the wall, put you on first 48 and give you a box of chicken and a Newport and a tall can of Coke 45 and you might tell all my goddamn business. So no ma'am. Caroline said, people can't wait to look for another listening ear. They just got a small story from you and they are ready to share it with anyone that will listen. Exactly, because their life is not entertaining. So you got the tea, you got the news. Your life is not, their life is not entertaining, but yours is. So now they running around telling all your business because they give them some notoriety because they know something. Just like these gossip columns and things like that. They ain't no damn body. They become somebody by telling other people's business. TMZ? Who the fuck is TMZ? We don't know them people. They ain't picked up a mic, ain't dribbled no goddamn ball, ain't did no open heart surgery, flew on the moon, nothing. They don't know shit about shit. You know what I'm saying? But they famous because they know everybody else's business. So people want to run and see what the fuck TMZ talking about, and they somebody because they know other people business who are actually interested. See, the people on TMZ, y'all not interested, but you're interested because you know somebody else's business and you're willing to tell it. That's what makes you interesting. You want to break some news, and no tea, no shade, because hell, I'm on the talk show, a radio station every Friday at 9 a.m. with Coffee with Kitty, and you know, we get into some things. But all at the same time, it's what's already going on and it's out there. And that's what that shit. Hell, motherfuckers know us from talking about motherfuckers. It is what it is. I'm not immune to none of this. I'm not gonna act like I ain't a part of it. Yes, indeed. But yeah, going back to the question at hand, should I beat my friends up? Maybe. Whoop they ass if it's worth it. But if you feel like it's something that you can savage and these people are important to you, and if you feel like the part of the relationship that was ruined and the part where you feel betrayed at is something that you will be able to compartmentalize and you can go back into the essence, the origin, I'd say, the origin of the relationship to why you started considering this friend in the first place and the things that made you like them. If you could go back to that and say, hey, this is the part of you that I do like, we gonna keep this rocking. I'm just not gonna rock with you like this over there. So if you could get to that point, I say it's worth working, fighting for. If you can't get to that point, then just whoop their ass. That's all. Just whoop their ass. But anyway, I really appreciate y'all for tuning in with me tonight. I really didn't plan on staying on here this long, but make sure you are following the Desk of Dasia on Facebook as well as YouTube. Send in your questions so I can address your questions. Um, and of course, when we post them, it will be anonymous. There are some really good questions that came in or whatever, and I probably do that all in one segment. So you definitely want to make sure that you're liking and following the page because I haven't decided if I'm going to start going live at a particular time. So I'm popping up on you right now. Make sure that you guys are following and liking Kitty Pink Radio with my girl Auntie Kitty and Bria Brat. Make sure that you are liking and following our page on Facebook and YouTube as well as Instagram, Locked and Loaded. That's LOC''T and Loaded. And make sure that you are tuning in every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Time for Locked and Loaded, and every Friday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time for Coffee with Kitty. And my girl Kitty, she gonna be on Manuscript in the morning tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time for Tri-Coastal Radio. Make sure y'all tune into that. Do not miss my girl tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Manuscript in the morning, Tri-Coastal Radio. Check her out. I really thank y'all for rocking with me tonight. I'm gonna have to figure out this whole little broadcast thing or whatever. It's cute, it's giving, I like it or whatever. Make sure y'all like this video, share it, put me in the algorithm. You know what I'm talking about. Your girl just trying to get out here and be somebody and make something do something. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Desk of Dasia. Good night.